All right, we're going to get started. Hello, welcome. I'm starting a couple minutes early because I'm tired. I don't really know how long I'm going to go for. I've got some talking heads on the headphones, um, and I got to be honest. The view on the stream looks gorgeous, and there's a glare coming from my side. So I'm probably going to freak out at some point and get upset. But it's all right. That's where we are. That's where we are. It's been a long, long week. Good week. My first real full week of school. I forgot how physically taxing educating children is. Um, I always think of the emotional strain of being a teacher, but like physically, it's exhausting. And I forgot about that. I mean, I didn't intellectually forget about it, but I don't know, I guess I like emotionally forgot it. I don't know. I'll get there eventually. Oh my gosh, I have so many lesson plans. I really should be lesson planning instead of painting. But you know what makes me happy? Painting. So that's what we're doing. Um, so this is supposed to be a painting of Fortuna, the Roman goddess of fortune and chance. Knowing the Romans, it's probably based off of a ancient Greek, somewhat or another. I don't know. I guess I've been thinking a lot about like artistic finances and whatnot. So I thought, hey, let me try and find a painting that can help me get a little bit of luck, right? Fortune on my side a little bit. I'm gonna be doing a sale in Metuchen, of all places, soon. Um, you would have thought they'd ran me out in a rail by now, but no, they keep calling me back. They're like, "Hey, we kind of like you." I'm like, "Yeah, you don't really like me as much as you think you do." However, it's called the Metuchen Pops Festival. It's all basically pop art, a celebration of popular art. Um, I guess I'm one of the visual art people. I'm really into pop art, so that kind of helps. Oh, I genuinely like how that looks. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. So I have a bunch of sculptures I've been working on. I might even give up on this painting halfway through this stream so that I could work on what do you call it? Work on one of my little sculptures. But yeah, originally this was thought to be like a painting of Fortuna because I've been spending some time in Chicago, and my girlfriend has a statue of Oshun, which is like the I don't say Haitian goddess, but it's the voodoo goddess, the Santeria. I'm trying to think of the non-problematic term. Goddess of luck and fortune. Probably one of the more popular saints, and I just love the idea of a goddess devoted to luck and fortune. So I thought, oh, I'll focus on being Italian American. I'll try Fortuna. Try and maybe I'll get into my own little, I don't know about pagan roots, but like my Roman roots. There we go. See, I don't like how it looks in real life, this painting. I am loving, I am loving how it looks on screen, which is so strange, but put me. My one problem with using acrylic, I swear, is that like you always end up having to like remix everything all the time, which can get really irritating. And you'd think at a certain point in my life, I'd be like, oh, I'll mix a whole container of it. It's probably how I got some of the. Oh, actually, wow, I did that really quickly. That looks great. However, there's often these like such long stretches between all these painting sessions I do on Twitch here that like uh, trying to mix these paints together and just letting them sit out, they're just going to instantly dry. I have a palette that has a lid on it, but even that is kind of limited on the efficacy of that kind of deal. Stuff dries out pretty quick, which is like annoying. However, like many things, that flaw is often a feature because what's nice about acrylic, what I like about acrylic is that it dries really quickly, so that you can like you can't rework it like you can with oil, but you can easily layer objects and layer what you're doing like right on top of each other, which I think is often a huge, huge relief. I don't know. Part of me feels like I should have had more of a plan for this. I think my problem with this painting is that I was like, oh, I want to have a background, but I really think I need to add a little bit of something. I think I might actually add some physical fake roses to this, which are really easy to make, but take a little bit of time. Um, I don't know. We'll see where we go from there. All right. Let me get a smoother brush. All right. Part of me thinks I should. Yeah. You know what? I'm making this a night sky. Let's just go for it. Or just mess up all of my black. It's all right. Oh. I feel like I need to put this in a sense of place. And just this gray void has kind of been bothering. I love the color of it though. I don't think it's interesting. Welcome to the life of an artist. You come up with an idea you love, and then a few weeks later, you're like, "Yeah, actually, I hate that idea now." Oh, give me a chance to fix this head wrap I was trying to do. I think in a lot of depictions of Oshun, she's wearing like a hair wrap, which is pretty typical of like Caribbean and African American women. To a silk wrap to keep your hair from getting dried out overnight. The whole point of a silk bonnet, if you don't know, is to prevent the moisture from leaving your hair on your pillow. Because then what happens is basically your hair becomes brittle and it falls apart, and it just um, doesn't thrive. Let's just say that. And lots of African American people in the African American diaspora, African Americans, blacks, Afro Caribbeans, Africans in general, or people of just somewhat of African descent, will often wear a bonnet to try and keep their hair from drying out overnight. Uh, I know actually some white people who do it and also rave about it. I don't know if I could wear a hat to bed. I think that would bother me. Would it make my hair better? Yes, as someone who grew up with curly hair, it would probably. As I've gotten older, my hair's straightened out. Like it's lost its curl. I don't know if it's like my white hair is basically straight, and the only hair that's still curly is my brown hair. But Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna probably put some stars in that sky too. It's so funny how much of a glare there is on this painting. It's hard to even see what I'm doing, but looks good on stream, so I guess that's all that matters. I don't know. I'll figure out this whole streaming thing eventually. I think for me, it's more just trying. It's an experiment. Uh, so a few years ago, I started doing this Patreon thing where it was just literally just the David Lamort Patreon, and then at a certain point, I decided I don't know if it was someone else's idea, and I took the idea. I might have stolen this idea from this artist, Ryan. No, Paul Rentler. Right? Yeah, Paul Rentler. I always want to call him Prentler. That's his Instagram handle. He does like this kind of style of art that kind of reminds me of Fail, but it's more print based, whereas Fail is more like it uses a lot more color and is less. I don't know. I feel like Prentler's work or Paul Rentler's work is like more research than Fail. I don't know. The Fail Collective, excuse me. But he started doing these stickers, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. I like stickers. I love making stickers. And I started making stickers for my patrons. And then I turned the whole David Lamort Patreon into the, what do you call it? The Strange Offering Sticker Club. And it's become this hole I throw money into every month. What are you thinking, Dave? Why do you do it? Or David, why do you do it? I'm trying to make David a thing. I like doing it. I enjoy making the stickers. It gives me an excuse to spend $100 every month on a new set of stickers, and it's got to be a set of stickers I really enjoy, because really this whole Patreon venture only pulls in $60 a month, a little bit more than that, like maybe 62. And so if I'm spending like 110 on stickers every month, with an only a guaranteed um, profit of $60, it doesn't seem to make financial sense. Well, luckily I'm an artist. I don't have to make financial sense. But what it does do, it kind of subsidizes my whole sticker venture. Um, I'm no longer like necessarily worried about I can go a little bit more elaborate. I can do some more designs because I know my patrons are going to pay for a portion of it. And eventually, I mean, there have been months where I printed them all from home, and that those months I actually made a profit. Um, but I was never really happy with the quality of those stickers. That they were always severely lacking in my mind. Like they looked good, the designs were good. I was proud of the designs, but the actual printing of them, like they would come off in the dishwasher. I know it. Whereas the stuff I ordered from Sticker App, some of those first stickers I bought from them are still attached to my coffee cups and my water bottles, and I don't have a dishwasher, but when I go visit my parents, or actually when I still lived with my parents for a little while, they would my mother would wash everything in the dishwasher, and that thing was no joke, baby. I mean, they're not 100% like bulletproof, obviously, It's not. Did I lose the. Hold on a second. Oh, no, we're good. Okay, I thought I lost the stream for a little bit. Just my iPad. Um, just my iPad went to sleep, obviously. Okay, great. All right, I got worried for a second. No, I don't know. Like, to me, if someone's going to give me $10 a month for stickers, right? And I have a few $10, a few $10 patrons, and I have one $12 patron. That's Brian, who you can see in the frame. Let's see, can I point to it correctly? It says Brian B. There we go. Sorry, it's really hard to do things backwards, but is my my only YouTube or my streaming patron. He also helps pay for all the Cryptid Mountain videos. Essentially, that's why he jumped on. And because of the Starter Squad, I had a lot of trouble getting back into that, but we'll get there probably next week. I am going to have my kids around, so maybe Sunday we'll do a little bit of recording. But I think, like, for me, I don't expect. I don't know. I haven't figured out how I'm going to turn this into my full-time job, obviously. My day job is unfortunately too lucrative and fulfilling. Ugh. Turns out I like working with children. I'm joking, obviously. I've known I've liked working with children, but I mean, ideally, I would love to be able to fund my own separate studio, not in my bedroom. I'd like to make my practice more professional. Um, I know a lot of people are like, well, to me, you're a professional artist. Yes, but not to me. I'm not a professional artist to me. Um, I see other teachers who are also artists, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I love what they do. I gotta try and get there. I know comparison is the death of happiness, but I compare myself to artists that I admire, not because I'm trying to diminish myself, but to give myself some kind of like something to shoot for, right? Like I bumped into Danielle Scott Artist, DanielleScottArtist.com, one of my favorite living artists, also a New Jersey-based artist who teaches as well in an urban district like I do, and like, you know, she has a studio. She has a really rigorous artistic practice. Um, and I don't compare myself to her because I think my work is as good as hers, because I don't really think it is. But it does make, I look at her work and it makes me think, hey, maybe it is possible. Maybe if I put in the amount of work she's doing, my work will take to the next level. But listen, I'm not gonna be the next Danielle Scott. It's not gonna happen. However, I'm excited just to be the next David Lamar. But I find it inspiring in a lot of ways, like seeing artists like her who are like not only, you know, normal, level-headed people who can handle working in a public school district and also have these like wonderful art careers. Um, and it makes me feel like my dream of doing that is not only possible, but it's inevitable. I always joke with my friends that, you know what, one day everyone's gonna be like, "Where were you?" Be like one of those dudes who's like spent 30 years to become an overnight success, and I'm okay with that. Because in all honesty, like, I would rather have fame, notoriety, I don't even know if I want that as much as I want the ability to make the work I want to make and make things that are important have a role in the art world. But I do feel like I don't know. It's not that I don't feel entitled to anything. I'm just trying to be honest about how I look at these situations. Like, right, the realities of being a gallery artist, an artist who shows regularly, in some ways that's a financial state. You know what I'm saying? Like, what separates an artist who does things on their own, right, and an artist who has like a gallery practice or makes money from their art and has an audience is financial, right? Like, there are people paying for your artwork enough that you can supply yourself that. And you know what? It might not be in a gallery for me. I feel like every gallery I ever show in eventually goes out of business. Um, but also, like most galleries, I don't go out of business at a certain point. And it's funny, like the more I know about the wider gallery system, like I don't know, I've worked in galleries before. I've shown in galleries. You know, I know what it takes, like work wise. It's just a matter of marketing yourself. And unfortunately, I think I grew up in a gallery system that really required people to live, like, proximity is a big deal. Like, I think a lot of these curators don't really want to leave their neighborhoods, which is like kind of a funny idea. It's, um, someone wise who I don't want to totally quote because I would hate to make her have to take responsibility for something she may have told me in confidence, but like, New York is one of the most provincial places you'll ever go to in your entire life. Um, like, people who live in New York only understand New York, and like, and I see that also in like the gallery system. Like, these art these art galleries, these gallerists, like they're not unintelligent. I'm not trying to like say, oh, they don't know what they're doing, but they don't leave their bubbles. And in many ways, because it's a business, they don't take chances really anymore like they used to back when I was younger. Um, because of the realities of, like, keeping a roof over your business's head. New York has only gotten more expensive, and also, the idea that, like, well, we have this history of people moving to New York to create an art system or to be part of the art world. Like, some people still, subscribe to that idea. Um, just fine. But I think a long time ago we kind of suffered the idea of, like, we don't really have an art world per se anymore. We really, really, really have like a series of satellite systems all around the world. Like, I love Hyperallergic. I'm a member of their system or whatever, and they're very Brooklyn, which is cool. I love that for them. But often I don't I don't really have a huge interest in a lot of the artwork they're showing on their website. Um, like if I go to Hyperallergic, it's really because I want to get their coverage of like wider social issues and how it's affecting artists, or there's interviews with actual artists I care about. Um, but often, like I look at the shows they cover, and it's like, fine, this is definitely not exactly like the artwork I saw when I was in my 20s in the Lower East Side and in Chelsea. This is definitely not reminiscent of the kinds of artwork that people who are rich and are trying to fill their homes, decorate their homes by. This is all very interesting. And I don't want to play identity politics. Like I personally, I openly teach artists who are non-white to my students. I admire and follow and interact with many artists from many different backgrounds. But I often feel like sometimes the stuff that makes the biggest impact still looks just like the artwork that was made by the stuffy old white guys when I was a kid. And it's a little disappointing. Like, I don't know. Sometimes with the art world, I feel like, oh, like the names change on the doors, but essentially it's all the same. I don't know. On occasion, though, I will say there's like someone doing something that is amazing. But usually they're doing something that's kind of like focusing on their personal story is so interesting. Um, or their skills are so good that they're able to do stuff that isn't really, I wouldn't say transformative visually, but like transformative culturally. Like I look at like a guy like Lunar New Year, like yeah, I can never pronounce it without looking at it, but they're a really amazing muralist and fine painter, and I love their work, but I wouldn't say they're breaking any like visual boundaries as much as I feel like they're focusing their work on trying to be more transformative culturally, and they have the skills to pay the bills. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're what they're doing is not reinventing the wheel, but they're able. I don't know. Now I feel like I'm insulting one of my favorite artists, and that was not my intent. But this is what happens when you ramble. No, I look at like Lenny's work, and it's not about like, oh, they're doing something I've never seen before. There's plenty of like muralists and realistic painters who are able to draw surreal things using their backgrounds as South Americans. But I think they do it in such a way that it's really, I mean, they're so talented that it just works so well. And I just love everything they do. Like Danielle Scott is, she's an African American, Afro Caribbean woman from the United States, and her work is dealing with racism, but and other artists have done that. But I like the way she does it, and I think it's really evocative of also like this idea of like, oh, even a dude like Willie Cole would do stuff that has to do with like evoking the culture of African American, like what do you call it, like domestic culture and stuff. They're dealing with similar ideas, but they're dealing with them in their own interesting ways. I just don't know what I'm dealing with, other than I think I'm dealing with like insanity and trying to deal with my own mortality. I don't know if my work has a I feel like every season of my work, I'll use that dumb term, eras from Taylor Swift or whatever, but like I've had many eras, but I don't feel like there's a single overarching narrative to my work other than like I guess I'm pretty smart. Like I think my work is definitely informed. Oh my god, am I a good artist because I can talk a big game? Maybe. Maybe I'm a good artist because all I do is think about art all the time, and then people are kind of shocked by like the stuff I can just pull out of thin air. I don't know. It's a little depressing. Or actually, who knows? That might be in the morning. I'll be like, oh, I'm so smart. I guess it's I guess it's a bad idea to try and write your own narrative. Frank May kind of always talked about this. Like, there's certain things you kind of want to leave up to the curators. Uh, we would always talk about how his work was like often temporary. He's like, yeah, everything's temporary. This whole planet is temporary. Just the scale of temporary is different. And if you're so focused on making stuff that's permanent, you're not even focusing on the stuff you're making. And I kind of took that idea to heart. But part of me is like, I hate to say it, and this is probably like a really cringy thing to say, but whatever. Just me, the camera, and the wall. Like, I'm still kind of an object maker. Like, I like making digital stuff, but at the end of the day, like, I don't take it nearly as seriously as I do my physical plastic art process. And I don't know. I've always had trouble taking myself seriously as a creator, as an artist, which is funny because like all I do is this, like literally, all my free time is spent like doodling or drawing or spending time with my friends who also do that same thing. And some people are always like, "Oh wow, you're always doing something. You're always busy." Like, yeah, dude. Like, what else would I be doing? I was put on this planet to create stuff. That's all I'm gonna do. That's all I want to do. And the moment I take time to relax and take in other artwork, it's all research for the making. I went to Butter Roll show at Smush, and like, what a great show! All about. I can't even pronounce the show. It's like a word he coined that has to do with like Simone de Bolivar, the like the George Washington of South America. The dude they named Bolivia after. But like I was there to support my friend, not only my friend who is the star of the show, but also my friends who run the gallery. You gotta support your local scene, but like also it was kind of research thinking about like how do you put your life in the context of your work in a way that is meaningful. Obviously, Jason and I have very different life stories. He was born in an orphanage and was eventually adopted by a white couple in New Jersey. And I was born in Elizabeth to two parents who are still together, which is sometimes weird. I don't know. But like to me, the show. What I think what made the Jason show, so meaningful to me was, I mean, learning his story. I mean, I kind of knew it, but I didn't know it in that depth. And watching him through the artwork kind of make his attempt to try and like square away his feelings about it. But I mean, to me, the best part was the way he did it. Like, I'm not sitting there going, "Oh, boo-hoo, my friend was adopted, and we found parents who loved him, and he lived to become this really amazing artist." Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. But like, to me, it was like, wow, the way he did it was fascinating. Certainly not the first dude to take a character to what do you call it? A character to try and like process his own life, right? I know that's fairly common, but I just like the way Jay did it. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I thought it was powerful. You know, I don't know. I was really impressed with the whole show. I mean, I'm always impressed with his work. I own two of his paintings. Like, let's be honest. Like, this is a dude I absolutely admire. But like, I don't know. It was nice. It was a nice show to see. But jeez, how long have I been doing this? Yeah, 30, 37. I still got time. I really wanted to do the bony face. I don't even remember what bony looked like. Let's see if I can find bony. Oh, let me look in my pictures. So when I did my show at M Galleries PNA, I did my gallery talk, and I used to actually, you know what's funny? So did Buttered Roll. He had Simone de Bolivar puppet made for the show, which I thought was fascinating. I might have to go into my Google photos. Um, wow, I definitely spelled galleries wrong. Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh, it worked. I don't even know if you can see it. Can we see that? No. Well, there's me with one of my weird shirts and my bony puppet there. And I thought, I don't know if it was a joke or whatever, but Frank and I were talking about how to make the the artist talk more of a performance. And so I was like, well, why don't I just get a puppet? And the idea was to literally like, oh, the puppet is going to be like a stand-in for me. Like, I think I stole the idea from Jodie Foster's The Beaver. Not a huge Mel. Actually, that's not true. I used to be a huge Mel Gibson fan. I loved The Road Warrior. Um, I am no longer a huge Mel Gibson fan, but in that movie he did with Jodie Foster, he was a guy who basically became emotionally stunted and then started speaking through a puppet, and I was like, that'd be funny. I should do that. And Frank and I were like joking about it, and then he's like, well, "You got to do it." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess you're right." And so I wore Boney for like an hour while I talked, and every once in a while, Boney would interrupt me. And what was nice about Boney was there to stand in for the audience, because like the problem with an artist talk is like people don't really want to interrupt you, but like they have to, because you need to make sure that your ideas stand up. Like, I think when you go to an artist talk, everyone wants to hear you perform. You'd be like, "Oh my god, you're so smart! You're so smart!" And that is not helpful. No one grows from that. what I wanted was to have someone who could like challenge me. I wanted to get heckled. I don't think I could have really handled it for reals. If one of my friends, I couldn't imagine if like Tristan started like my buddy Tristan, who's an author who lives in Washington. I don't know if I could have handled it if someone would have started heckling me. I don't think Tristan would have had it in him. I'd probably have to like really push him to do it. So I used the puppet. The puppet was the stand-in for me, and then I would say things, and I would use the puppet to kind of play like the devil's advocate, and it was like kind of weird, but kind of worked well. Um, I felt like it was successful. Um, I mean, part of the joke is that it's a puppet, and it's like, in some ways, being an artist is not totally being an adult. So, like, I thought, hey, let's make it weird. Um, Kind of playing with this. I don't know. My artwork sometimes I feel like my artwork makes me feel a little bit look like I'm insane. I was like, oh, let's play into it a little bit. And so Boney was born. Um, and so that's what I'm painting now. And Boney, because it was the Catacomb show, it was all like about the paper skull, so kind of a culmination of that idea. Although, let's be honest, I'll probably still do that again. Excuse me. It was a really fun chance to like play around with that idea. But I mean, to varying levels of success, I guess. I'm not like I'm not like some philosophical genius or anything. I just think a lot and I like new ideas. I think for me, like, you know, I'm interested in esoteric ideas, but like I'm still fairly grounded in reality. I don't know. And so this was my chance to like really approach some of these ideas of like life and death and ritual surrounding life and death. I don't know. Like I feel like in this country, particularly, we have a really terrible relationship with death. Um, like we don't really want to talk about it. We're uncomfortable about it. Um, some some people swear they have like it all figured out, but some people are so messed up about it that they'll even step outside of like you very religious people who will go talk to like mediums and whatnot because they need answers and the answers that they say they believe don't necessarily speak to them or they're still scared and that's fine but I'm as someone who's not really a believer how do you grapple with that idea you know um, even someone who likes making dark jokes about stuff like that, like I still like need to figure it out for myself, you know. I know people have always said to me like there are no atheists in foxholes, and I'm like the older I get, I don't know, man. The older I get, the more religion makes less sense to me. But I don't know, it's just an interesting idea. But I do find a lot of comfort in but in the ritual part of religion. And I don't know if it's like my Catholic indoctrination is so deep, or if there's something deeply psychological about it, or spiritual, quote unquote. I don't know. But I'm open to the idea, and that's what I'm trying to explore. But I'm trying to do it on my own terms. I'm not. I don't really want to be told. I want to figure it out on my own, and I'm going to make you follow me through the journey. Bonnie, you look a little worse for wear. Make those eyes I don't know. Like I did a critique with a bunch of other artists through the Studio Montclair Association I'm involved in. Studio Montclair does these like Zoom crits, and we were talking about my students like, oh, why don't you show your students your work? And I was like, no, I would never. I don't want to do that because I don't know. I do feel like in my own youth I was proselytized, for a lack of a better word, by a lot of teachers. And I feel like being a kid's teacher gives you a lot of power. And I don't want to abuse that power, and I don't want to abuse that trust. And I'm not like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble with the district. It's not even that. I just don't want. If a kid wants to believe something, fine, whatever. And I'm talking about like I'm talking about belief, like philosophical belief. I'm not talking about like the New Jersey state standards. No, I'm teaching those. Those are getting crammed down your throat, kid. That I'm getting paid to teach. Like I wouldn't proselytize about my spiritual. I wouldn't. I don't even want to talk about my spiritual beliefs because I would hate it if someone believed something and maybe they didn't feel pressured about it. But I feel like being the teacher gives you like a weird bully pulpit that I know the right wing news outlets are always talking about like kids being like indoctrinated by their teachers, but like I'm really trying to do the opposite. Like, many of my students come from deeply religious families. My kids are Jewish, whatever. Um, and I feel like I would hate to accidentally like topple someone's belief in something because I was just talking, off the top of my head or talking about my own experiences. Like, I'm not going to lie to children. I really won't. But I'm also not going to abuse that trust. Um, and that's part of the reason why I don't like when religion gets involved in education. And it's not even that, like, oh, I don't like religion. I don't like religion. But it's more just like so much of what we do is teaching these kids a sense of truth, a sense of like, with all this SEL stuff we do, trying to teach these kids to believe in themselves, right? And then I would hate it if like that all got toppled down, all the things that I think kids absolutely need to learn about, like critical thinking and being good citizens, goes out the window because they feel like, hey, they not actually took advantage, but like, I was a captive audience, and then they told me all their weird ideas. Like I get that. It's important to me that these kids learn how to make good decisions, and I hope they think critically. But I want them to think critically because I want them to like really make good choices. But like, it doesn't have to be my choices. Whatever. I got no skin in that game. See, I feel like she looks gorgeous on stream, and I hate how she looks in real life. I don't know. This hand is so terrible to me. I gotta like look at. I might have to sketch this hand out. I love the skirt. I love the bony. I really like the face. Not crazy about the hair wrap. I think I was trying to give her like a Italian Erica Badu vibe without really looking at reference material, and I think it shows. Uh, but whatever, we'll get there. I do think I need to try and like add some other stuff to this, but yeah, it's getting close to 11, and I have one more day of school to get to. But yeah, for joining me, whether it is currently or in the future. You can check out more of my stuff at davidlamort.com, or you can go over to patreon.com/Lamort. David Lamort is DavidLamorte, in case that's not totally evident. That is kind of like the clearinghouse for all my artwork, but honestly, I probably put the most artwork up on my private Instagram, but the website's always a good place to start. And yeah, you can find me there on most social networks except for Twitter. Don't do Twitter anymore. I'm on Twitch at twitch.tv/DavidLamort, YouTube, youtube.com/DavidLamort, Patreon, patreon.com/Lamort, just to keep it spicy. And then, yeah, you can find my stuff at davidlamort.com. And there'll be linked to my mailing list where I try and keep updated. I've had to sign up for a new mailing list because my old company is shutting down. Mad Mimi, I guess, was bought by GoDaddy years ago, and they're finally phasing it out, which stinks. I really like Mad Mimi. But, so I got a Constant Contact account. I'm kind of waiting for that paycheck to come in before I pay money for it. But yeah, you can check me out at all those places. And yeah, feel free to like this video, subscribe. I do this every Thursday and sometimes more. And thanks a lot.